everybody, today we're going to be answering your questions, your takes, hots and colds, and all of those temperatures. Cold Edit says, I'm sick and tired of two top baby faces and two top heels having to segment, things get heated, and Pierce or Aldis comes out with, let's make an official tag team match in the main event. And when that main event could be spent on developing a blood feud or championship match that goes for both Raw and SmackDown. I kind of agree. This is very much like how we had it in the old days. It's always been this way. It really has, hasn't it? You get Teddy Long coming out, holla holla, plays a tag team match. It never really seems to end. It's an old trope. It's something that they, I think, rely on way too much, that we end up seeing utilized far too often today, that they need to be changing it up for motivating the tag team match. Still gonna do the tag team match. It's how they get there, I think, is part of the problem. Party McFly says, I don't care what anyone says. Logan Paul is the future of the company. He's insanely entertaining and good in the ring. I can't wait until he is world champion. We need a huge heel champion like Logan. Logan Paul impressed me with John Cena. I really liked the Clash of Paris match. I've always enjoyed, now, for the most part, I've enjoyed Logan Paul's work as a heel in the ring. He gets the desired reaction. It's a bad guy, and man, he plays it well. So I can see it if he's around a little bit more regularly. And lately he has been. As much as anybody, it seems like, unless you're Seth on TV every single week, Logan Paul is there pretty frequently. I can see WWE wanting to put a championship, maybe the world title, on him in like a year and then run with him. He's been United States champion and it worked. If he was around for say 6 months or even 3 months, he could have a stint as world champion and he'd get booed if he beat a big baby face. Alternative 7586 says the Vision is starting to look like a ripoff of the Death Riders. Yes they are. So the Death Riders picked it up a little bit towards the end. At first, Mox's whole mission statement was like, this isn't your company anymore, yeah, and they were destroying everybody and bags on heads and such, and then they stopped all of that. They just became just bad guys. They did a little bit different. I think maybe WWE was seeing the direction they were going in and they didn't like it, like it wasn't working very well, and maybe now they were like, okay, we can tweak this thing. We got the Shul of Fallen Man, he's the tribal thief. We're gonna play with that a little bit more, despite Roman getting the shoes back, but then getting dummied at the end. Bron Breakker's dog barker, he's got that going on for him. That is slightly different, but I can see that it's very similar. Champ SMG says, the current product is so predictable. I hate how the major titles only ever change at Mania or SummerSlam. It makes every other show meaningless, and it forces these insanely long title reigns that have no suspense whatsoever. So Champ, I don't disagree that when you talk about the main title scene, it's like Cena had the belt, you're going through his heel run, so there was intrigue in there. Cody's got the belt again, and it feels like Cody will have the belt until Mania. I think the world title, which I feel like they need to hot potato that belt maybe a little bit more often, because it just feels like, oh, Cody's the guy, give him the belt, he'll run with the belt. The world title, I will say, they've moved it around. They have, since its inception. It hasn't stayed, other than like Gunther, it hasn't stayed on anybody too long. It hasn't overstayed its welcome, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. But I do think that there is something to smaller PLEs and building to the big ones. And that's all you really need to watch is like SummerSlam, Survivor Series, WrestleMania. Like, it's always been that way though, like, hasn't it? I mean, yes and no. You would get title changes. I think what would help is if we had more unpredictability. They have done title changes. They've done title changes on Raw. But if you saw more, I don't know, stories unfolding in a bigger way, more meaningful way on week-to-week TV. I don't know what the answer is here other than, like, are you gonna hot shot, Crown Jewel? It does feel sometimes like, yeah, the smaller ones don't matter as much, and you can skip and watch Mania and you can kind of figure it out. So I do see your point. I think that they try, but they also hot shot, like, let's bring this legend back. And they try to hotshot a WrestlePalooza, AJ Lee, for example. It's Mickey says, if WWE plans on reuniting the Usos, Bloodline, why did they send Sami to SmackDown? It's like they don't know what to do with this character anymore. Sami's odd, isn't he? Because he wanted to be World Heavyweight Champion, and he said it for weeks. He finished with Cross, he did that, and then they just moved him to SmackDown, and he instantly wins the US title. And then they have Jimmy now going to Raw to help out Jay. Like, why? To go against Braun and Bronson. Why didn't you have Jimmy going for the US title more clearly? He's got everything going on with the Bloodline, with Solo. maybe like the alliance he has with Jacob, but you could ruffle the feathers there and there's some tension there. What if Jimmy became US champion? That would work really well. You could have Sami come over to SmackDown at some point, but it does feel like, hey, Sami, I want world title. I'm not gonna get it here. I get the US title, bang, he's got the US title, and now there's no drama. And also, why is Jacob okay that Sami just swoops in with Bloodline stuff and gets the US title? This has been all about Jacob and Solo for so long. So I don't know, and they're not playing enough of Solo and Sami's history. Maybe they will. You give it time, you let it breathe. Maybe they will get there. But they're not talking enough about Sami Solo Bloodline history. Do some vignettes, show us something. Body count play says AJ ain't coming back yet. They gonna swerve us and it'll be Paige. I doubt it. I personally doubt it. Maybe it could happen. I think it's AJ Lee. And I think it happens on SmackDown in Chicago. Big pop, mixed tag, that's what they do. I do believe that Paige does make a return at some point. FP Wrestling Malayalam says, sorry, WWE saved Becky Lynch because if CM Punk used his real mic skills, she can't talk. And I really expected a GT from CM Punk. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're just gonna get violent there with Punk GTSing Becky Lynch. No, I think it's just part of the story. You had Becky slapping him and Punk's character doesn't want to, you know, have violence on Lady. And Seth is hiding behind her. So I think it just kind of plays into the story there. Tiger Claw Gaming says, am I crazy? You're crazy, I'm kidding. Or has the back and forth promo just kind of gone away? I feel like the promos I see now are wrestler A comes out and talks, wrestler B comes out and talks, and then one leaves and there's no real back and forth. It is missing. Sometimes we get it, but it's rare. It is a lot of your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, hit our points. It doesn't have the natural cadence and flow of a conversation. Sometimes you get it. I think of Drew and Punk. When they were going at it on the mic, it was like a one-upsmanship. But so often it is just, you talk. Okay, you're done your statement, I talk. It's not a new problem, but you'd think by now it would have evolved to be like, you know what? A real conversation between two people is not just we're right in each other's faces and we're saying the worst things in the world and I have no reaction. They're just standing there. Sometimes they are doing that. Maybe that's part of the problem, is the other wrestler not having a good enough reaction to what they're saying. Yeah, Logan Paul and John Cena. Like John Cena just talks for 10 minutes, ripping into Logan Paul. Logan Paul doesn't come back on the microphone at all. And he could talk. He just stews. He just walks back and forth, stewing the whole time. You would think that to create a better dialogue and even more tension, Logan Paul would come back. But again, for television, you can't have these guys tripping on each other all the time. Then you can't follow it very well. We can, but like you can't follow it so closely if they're just talking over each other. It just brawls every time. Wolfhand says, if Rhea Ripley shows up in the tag match with Punk instead of AJ, I will have a breakdown. I think that is consensus for many people that it will be a letdown if it's anybody but AJ Lee. You're doing it in Chicago. You've teased it. WWE Shop has leaked it, or it was AI. We can't tell anything anymore. Nothing's real anymore. And it could very well just be that, yeah, we gotta just have it happen. WWE can't do all these things and basically confirm it without confirming it and pull the rug under you. If anybody else shows up on SmackDown, it's a bad day. The Wheel of Time says, hot take. Okay, it's getting spicy, I guess. That's something people say. Becky helping Seth just made him look weak. Also, why did she bother wearing the hood? Hadn't we seen her about half an hour ago? Yes, we did. The hoodie trope, number one, needs to go away. Triple H's thing seems to be brawls, pull apart brawls. The entrance of everyone arriving at the arena, we need that for 5 minutes of people getting out of their cars walking. And masked hoodie person that we know very clearly who it is. Just do it. Just have them hit them. Have them get involved in the ring. You don't need to mask them. It's fine. I know you want some kind of surprise, but it's a surprise with this. I get it. You want that reveal to be like, ooh, wow. But I think because it's so overdone. And the Bloodline, I love the Bloodline saga that we got. But in retrospect, you can see, even as it happened, you knew that you're like, oh my gosh, how many times are they going to have Jimmy or Jay or Sami or Kevin Owens or somebody pulling off a black hoodie and a sweat, like in a mask? It was ridiculous. Now, Becky helping Seth just made him look weak. Yes, that's part of the point, I think. Make Seth look like he's weak. It's the cowardly champion, so you're mad at it. It's kind of the reaction I think they want to go with. I'm sure it's more like you just don't want them doing it that way. You want Seth presented as a strong champion, and they have for the most part. But because now they added in this Becky Lynch element, now it does make Seth look like a coward. And so you want CM Punk to beat him, and there's your point. B. Lee says, I don't understand why AJ Styles didn't win the IC title. That France crowd was going crazy for him, and WWE not to make a moment out of that was a missed opportunity. I agree, because guess what? You can have Dom just win it back the next week. Give that crowd that pop, that big moment. It's not that hard. Like, AJ couldn't have been on the show in Clash in Paris, which was a mistake. Him and Dom put on a great match on Raw. Make that the PLE. Why didn't you give me AJ Styles and Dom instead of the Street Profits and the Wyatts? I didn't need that. I'd rather have Styles in there and Styles win. And even on Raw, yes, have AJ Styles win the Intercontinental title. It doesn't hurt. He can have it till WrestlePalooza and drop it. It's not that complicated. Like, I just feel like sometimes they're afraid to pull the trigger on this. Hayes Gaming says LA Knight and Jey Uso should have started a feud rather than Usos reunion. I don't know what you're gonna do with LA Knight right now, because it does feel like Jimmy and Jay team up to go up against the Bron brothers, and LA Knight's left doing nothing. Now they can always bring LA Knight back to do more, or even in a War Games match, for example. But I kind of agree. You want to see LA Knight is involved in the Fatal 4-Way. He's coming off of that. He's got all the tension with Jay. I mean, they might still do it. I don't know. Depends how they want to write it, but it feels like an Usos reunion. I think they're just going to get more money out of doing an Usos reunion. Eduardo Banner says Liv Morgan was more important to the women's division, Monday Night Raw, and WWE than anybody else on the roster. Anybody else? That's a grand statement, everybody. Liv Morgan is good, and too bad she got injured. I think that she did have so much with Judgment Day that they've had to obviously retweak everything. Roxanne being added in, I think, was great. Them getting the tag titles, I think, was a big plus. And I think it can help in the long run having Liv come back for injury, probably as a babyface, if you're going to do it, to go up against Roxanne. So you can get a brand new or fresh babyface with Liv Morgan, and people will be into it. Maybe Judgment Day will finally end, I don't know. But to say it's like it's the most important thing, I disagree. There's a lot of Becky Lynch in here, by the way. Okay, Scuba for Steve says, I just like saying the name. Scuba for Steve says, Becky continues to be one of my favorites. I'm glad she's in the vision. I am too. She says, also, can Judgment Day break up already? Yes, they can. And it says, Edge has been gone for years. Rhea and Damian have been out for a long time. Why is the Judgment Day still a thing? I think it's because, let's talk about Judgment Day for a second. I think it's because Triple H Creative have found a faction that they have a template and they can cycle people in and out of it, and it will work. Because you're right, the evolution of Judgment Day is fascinating, because it was Edge, Rhea, and Damian Priest, and they're all gone. And then those three, they were gonna add in Finn Balor, and Finn Balor came in, and then it all changed. You've had so many iterations of this, and just kind of feels like, we need somebody else added into this. We're gonna add a new member to get a more of a storyline going on in there, and confrontation. Okay, let's add Liv. Okay, nah, we got Carlito. Okay, Carlito's gone. Let's add in Raquel. Let's add in Roxanne. I like the dynamics of the character, like the relationship and the characters they have, like how it all flows together. I think it flows nicely because like you have tension between Dom and Finn, but that goes on and off. Like they turn it on and off sometimes. Build to it. Build the breakup. Dom Mysterio is very popular. I think eventually they want to go face with Dom. I just feel like it's a lot of like, let's insert superstar here for Judgment Day. Now they're a new member. I don't think it'll end. I think eventually Dom will leave. Liv will be gone next. And then it'll be like Finn, JD, Roxanne, Raquel, to then add in a new guy, and they run with that person. But yeah, and Becky being one of your favorites, I like Becky. I haven't always liked Becky. I liked Becky's, what was it, 2016, right before she did the man stuff. Was it 2016 on SmackDown Live? And she had that run. That was great, because that was leading up to that. She was getting over like crazy. Then the man stuff I really did enjoy. And then after that, when she went like weird heel, I think it was Vince was doing it. It didn't work. It was so bad. She was like crazy over the top with the get up and the glasses and the spiky hair and stuff. I really did not care for it at all. But her coming into the Vision, I think it does work, because it's what we're saying, other people are saying in the comments here. Like people getting mad that Becky, Seth's being cowardly. That's the point. Like that's part of the fun of this. is you want to see Becky get her comeuppance, so AJ Lee comes in. You want Seth to get slapped a bunch. He's gonna, and Punk's gonna beat him up. You want that, and they're both champions. It adds to it. It's a lot of, I've said this in other videos, but like it reminds me of Triple H, Stephanie McMahon in the McMahon Helmsley era. Watching that as like a kid, I hated it. In the way a fan does, like, girl, I want Triple H and Stephanie to get just destroyed by The Rock and Jericho and everybody else, and they would, or a lot of times they get away with it. And I'm like, oh, they're on the show every single week. Oh, I'm like, yeah, I got mad about it because I was a fan, and like that's part of the show. I think they're doing a great job, and you have people that can talk. Here's my qualm. I will say this as a little tiny detail I don't like about Becky Lynch. I don't like how she sells in the ring sometimes. You know, some people in the ring, like Baron Corbin or anybody else, where, you know, they're going for a 2 count and their eyes are completely open looking at the referee and it goes 1, 2 and they kick out. Some people are like, well, that's fine. I'm like, I hate it. I'm like, you're getting hit, dummied with a power bomb. Close your eyes. Like, you're supposed to be like kind of out of it. They're like, I'm looking right at the referee and 2 and then kick out. Okay, Becky doesn't do that. But the example for Becky Lynch is the mouth thing. She will get a near fall on somebody. Like, it's all like the rush, like she's trying to quickly get into a cover. And it's 1, 2, and it's a near fall. And Becky pops up and she sits down and she does this a lot. And she's quivering her mouth and she's flapping her gums a bit. It drives me nuts because they close up on her face and she's always doing the same thing and she's pulling her lip. It's just, I don't know. It's something small. It's stupid, but it's one of those wrestling things where I'm like, please stop doing that. SBH says, I have a solution to the Waller Theory debacle. Hit me with it. Waller is still trash talking Theory. Have him keep doing that, and then they have Theory come back at the Rumble and toss Waller, leading to a match. Fantastic. Give it to me. I'm all for it. I do like what they're doing, New Day, Waller. Their chemistry is good. It does work well. Wish they do tag team title matches of the show or something, or 6-man tag. Do a little bit more. I do hope that they can continue, if they can have Waller keep talking trash with Theory to build Theory up to come back. Just not doing anything with Theory. Give me a vignette. Give me something. I don't know if he's injured for real or not, or what's going on. But if they did something, yeah, that's a great payoff. Theory comes out in the Rumble. The thing is, though, is that, again, they would have to build Theory back to come back. Like, build him up for a Royal Rumble return. Not as big as like a Charlotte Flair or anything. Run some vignettes and show me a new side of Theory in the vignettes. Something different. Or have him on TV every week. Come back regularly. Start racking up wins till people in the lower card. Meanwhile, Waller is still talking trash about him. And then you culminate it at the Royal Rumble, where you can have them maybe try, like Waller keeps sneaking away from Theory. He can never get his hands on him. Finally does at the Rumble and tosses him out. Get a match at a Chamber or the WrestleMania. Abs Ali says, it's strange how WWE can go for months without any significant story moving forward. And then all of a sudden, the tease of an AJ Lee return. Looking forward to see what happens. I am too. And it is interesting that they are doing this. They're doing this way more. And this really feels like it's because of the ESPN deal. They're like, we got a Palooza to rack up here. We need a big show, and we can't get the big show because he's in AEW. So we're gonna do this. It feels like they have big show moments, and they're like, we need to plug somebody in there. So let's go find them and insert The Rock or Cena or Brock or AJ Lee or whoever else is gonna be next. It does feel that way sometimes. You got week-to-week TV, not a whole lot is happening right now. And then you get to a Palooza or a PLE and they have some big thing. Like Brock showing up at SummerSlam. Like Brock or not, big moment gets people talking. What's gonna happen next? Oh, nothing, because Brock's gone. But now you're gonna get something like AJ Lee coming back. What does that set up? That gets you to probably Survivor Series. So there's like a 3-month arc that they could do, and then you could go from there. I wish they would do more on the weekly to make things more exciting and bigger names, like at the top, like a Cody Rhodes, for example, having matches on SmackDown or Raw, and not just, or Punk having more one-on-one matches on Raw. I know people got limited dates, but how many times are we gonna keep doing like Vision disqualification main events? All right, Jay's Gaming Corner says, hot take, Bron Breakker should get a mega push sooner rather than later. I'm thinking the Vision turns on him by year's end. Bron takes the title from Rollins at the Rumble. 2026 is his year. He should feud with Rollins, Reed, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and the biggest one is Roman Reigns. The ruined WrestleMania match would be Breakker winning clean, and it could be a huge statement. I wonder when they're gonna pull the trigger on it. I think it's about a matter of like wait and see. They are building it. I think that they need to get through this. I would like it if they do fast track this stuff. with Breakker. I think it's interesting that Seth's character at Clash in Paris, he's backstage and he's saying, I don't need anybody. I don't need the Vision. I didn't like that Breakker and Bronson Reed didn't address that on Raw. Maybe they will, but they didn't bring it up. I know Paul Heyman's off TV right now for the injury angle, but you need Paul Heyman, I think, to come back and start talking to Bron Breakker. That Paul Heyman maybe sees that like Seth is kind of too wrapped up in himself and he's wrapped up with Becky and they think that they're in charge of everything. Paul Heyman hitches his wagon more officially to Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, but more so Bron Breakker. But I do think they need to address that one thread, because Seth saying that is very interesting to me, because it does highlight that like, well, he's not really in it with this group, which kind of shows, because it's like it's not really a very clear-cut faction of like people together. I could see them just doing the Triple H Evolution thumbs up, thumbs down thing to Breakker if you want him to be a babyface. Because if you're gonna go up against Seth, then Breakker's the babyface in that, and you got Paul Heyman as a manager. I don't know, but then again, he's with Roman Reigns. People love Tribal Chief. The big final match for Bron Breakker, I think, is that Roman Reigns match, and that could be the WrestleMania match. Spear versus Spear, Paul Heyman in Bron Breakker's corner. Maybe he does break off from Seth by the Royal Rumble or wins the Royal Rumble. You never know. But it's big things. It's just kind of a wait and see, I think, with Breakker. Smoothie G says, hot take, I don't think AJ Lee coming back is really all that interesting to me. I feel like the division has moved past her and she moved past it as well. And I feel like we are all just getting nostalgia baited over the entire thing. Probably. It's what they're doing right now. And I'll let you know a little secret. I got a video coming out in a day or two, kind of talking about this, about Legends and how the nostalgia, bring them in, big pop. Everyone goes crazy. The internet and dummies like me go wild. Oh my God, who's coming back? What could this mean? It's fun to talk about, but yeah, the division's moved past. You have solid names there week after week. Let's build those up more. But they want to pop the ESPN deal and the first PLE for that. So we get Brock Lesnar, we get AJ, we get AJ Lee, we get the Usos reunite, the Cody versus Drew McIntyre. So they're trying to really build this thing. So I get it from the business side, but yeah, I totally see from the fan side of like, you got all this talent, like let's focus on that. It's passed her by. Yeah, it's an older name coming in. And there's been no interest until now for her to come in. Maybe it's the creative, or I don't know, but we'll see what happens. And I do think that people get the nostalgia bug, because people that, you know, grew up during that period where AJ was the Divas era and AJ Lee was kind of at the front of it. And in terms of her character, she did, I think, a very excellent job with very little to work with. That was always my takeaway, because that era is not good, like for women's wrestling. It's just not compelling stuff. But then you'd have AJ and it might be a 6-minute match and I'm like, oh, she stood out. Imagine what she could have done today with a different roster. Curious how it goes. Really am. Do they keep her with Punk and Becky and all of that, and that's all she does? Maybe. Or does she start? Is she in there full time for a year? We don't know. All right, those are your takes today. That's it. I got nothing else for you. Click this video if you want to talk more WWE. Thank you guys for watching. I enjoy doing these videos and getting to answer all your questions. Have a great day. See ya.